Hey everybody, welcome to Hit Rewind. This episode we'll be discussing 5 sci-fi films from 1999. I'm your host Michael, and my co-host John is on the other side.
How you doing, everyone?
99, kind of coming to the end of an era, obviously. We're all afraid of Y2K and Millennium.
Oh, yeah, we definitely had those internet fears back then,
Yeah.
didn't we?
No, the internet fears now are way worse, and they're not what we expected. So like we did discuss The Matrix already, the whole franchise, and well, we did technically discuss The Mummy, but my computer fried and went weird, and so I think we're going to have to re-record that at some point. But but still, there's a lot of good sci-fi, some bad. I thought about doing Wing Commander, I decided not to, and being John Malkovich almost made the list, and I just kind of pushed it off the side because it wasn't. Yeah, it's fantasy, but it's not our kind of wheelhouse, really. Is it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is, because it is it would have fit with some of these films. Same thing with, definitely Wing Commander. That would have been an interesting rewatch.
I wasn't willing to pay for it. I was hoping it was free somewhere. I guess the reason why I didn't want to do Malkovich is because it seemed too high-minded and sophisticated compared to some of the stuff we're going to discuss. Maybe one.
Oh, I picked some fucking trash movies.
Yeah. I felt like it was too classy for this joint, and I wanted to do Existenz, but you had already done it before on a different show. So I guess what are we starting with?
Well, you spoke of Existence, so how about the 13th Floor?
We're really in that era of what is real, what is not real. There's little glimmers here and there that we saw it with Dark City the year prior. Then right after that was Truman Show. We just had The Matrix. Existence and 13th Floor, I feel like they came out within a couple weeks of each other and both pretty much disappeared. They're only a cult following at best. Mostly because of Cronenberg, and I don't know if this one has a following at all.
I'll say this. Of the three films that are basically reality is not what you think of it, re computers, this, I think, is not the best of the three, but I think the one that got the shortest end of the stick.
Yeah, it's the only reason it ever got made is because of the people behind it, Roland Emmerich and doggone it, what is the other guy's name that wrote Independence Day with him? He's his producing partner. Damn, he runs Electric Entertainment.
Devlin,
yeah.
if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
Dean Devlin. The director of Geostorm.
Yeah, they're Centropolis Films, which that was so nice to see that logo again.
Yeah, but yeah, it's. I think that's the only reason it got released in theaters, and it could end up being like a HBO or Sci-Fi Channel movie under different hands. No real big names here. Gretchen Mol really wasn't ever a name, but she was a little hot at this time.
You do have Vincent D'Onofrio.
He's probably the biggest one in this, the most well received by critics, and had just come off of Men in Black, though you really can't tell it's him under all that makeup. And Craig Bierko is a very interesting guy. He looks like an A-lister visually, and he's got the skills. Never really locked in. It's amazing how. He does song and dance, Broadway stuff. He does comedy because he had just come off of doing Larry David's Sour Grapes. He was the Heavy and Long Kiss Goodnight, and then this, but nobody saw them. Just nobody watched these movies that he was in.
Yeah, and this is a shame because let's be honest, this is the one that has the most ideas.
Yeah, and it's the most gorgeous. No, I'm serious. This movie is absolutely stunning.
Yeah, and it's basically, and they spoiled this in the trailer, so I'm not going to be spoiling anything for this, but it's like, on the 13th floor of this building, these people have created a virtual world that's 1930s Los Angeles, and everyone in it is effectively alive. They have their own lives. They go through their daily motions, and you can actually jack yourself into this world and take over a person that is basically you.
Yeah.
Or looks like you anyway. And then, now here's where the spoilers come in. We get the twist that eventually that contemporary 1999 is it actually Los Angeles that they're in?
I don't
can't
know.
remember now.
Yeah, it's
I can't remember the city for
because
some reason.
spoilers. There's a reality of a reality. There's layers of this and trying to come in and out, and who is real and which one is bouncing in and out of. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know one of them is Los Angeles, but
Yeah, well, it's like, because the lowest level is Los Angeles. I'm trying to remember if where we're set is contemporary LA or not. I think it is. But then, it's like it is also a simulation, and all the shit that's gone wrong is because someone is jacking into this simulation to stop the people making the simulation of their own and covering that shit up. And, it's like, it's a nesting doll of thought, and it's kind of remarkable because the lighting in each in each time frame is different.
yeah.
So you are actually able to see tell where you are in time, which is kind of fun.
And it basically starts off kind of it's a noir period, but they're trying to find someone who went missing and then getting kind of lost in that world. And it's a certain crazy person is jumping in and out of that reality trying to stop them. And there's murder involved. And it's just, I thought it was a really fun whodunit.
Yeah, and it's, as I said, I feel bad because this film has just kind of been shuffled off into the corners of history, and it really shouldn't have. Existence gets remembered because it's Cronenberg, and that's all fucked up. Matrix was the big popcorn movie that everybody loves, and then again, other films that are similar style. You have Ed TV, you have Truman Show, et cetera, et cetera. It's like there's a lot of these things out there, but this one seemed to just be. It was small, and I think that was its problem. Is that it was too small to be noticed.
Oh, it came out on Memorial Day. I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to remember what it went up against. I think it went up against. Didn't it go up against fucking Phantom Menace? Well, I think it went up against Phantom Menace.
Oh.
That's insane.
Yeah, that film got shuffled off to die, didn't it?
Yeah.
That was the case.
So what's interesting about this is the director, he is a visionary, and it's a damn shame that his next two movies are low-budget, direct-to-video Wesley Snipes movies. Considering how good he is at this, I almost want to give him a shot and see if they at least look good.
That's fair. It's like with this, he was able to pull quite a bit out with very little money.
Yeah, $16 million. He really worked it. A lot of it's because, his cast is probably, low cost for sure. Because, none of these guys are making over $500,000. So, a lot of great sci-fi movies have been made on small budgets. Look at Cube.
Exactly, yeah.
It's about the ideas, but releasing it during a spectacle kind of time is really stupid.
Yeah. This needed to have been just one of the... Honestly, this should have been one of the films that would pop up in the, dustbin of a year, like in a January or February.
Or, right before late September, something like that.
Yeah, it's like, because I think then it actually probably would have had a little bit more of a sleeper hit status.
Yeah. What is the next film we're going to discuss?
Okay, the last great film that we're going to speak about is Galaxy Quest.
Yes. Saw it in theaters, and I was blown away about how good it was. It was just one of those movies we're looking for as a family. One of those 4-quadrant kind of films that everybody could go to. And a lot of those movies usually are just, it was fine, at best. And I was like, this is fucking great. And I think a lot of it...
Which is it's surprising because all the marketing on this film sucked.
Oh, did it? I didn't remember.
The trailers on this movie, because actually, if you watch there's a documentary about the making of this. They show you how bad those trailers really are. It's like almost like a direct-to-video trailer.
Oh wow! Yeah,
it is. It's shocking how badly they sold this movie.
Yeah, I just remember thinking, oh, it's just gonna be a silly spoof. Why not? And it's I I think what it falls down to is the fact that Dean Parasot, the director, is the one that makes this so fucking good and sincere. I remember reading about this, and originally Harold Ramis was going to direct it, and he was going to mock everything about it, make fun of the fans, make fun of, whatever, and that's like, and the people, DreamWorks said, oh, no, that's not what we want to do at all. And I don't know how they found Dean Parasite. He was just a TV guy, and he hasn't directed very much, but what he has directed has been pretty damn good. He did that last Bill and Ted's. He did the remake of Fun with Dick and Jane, which is actually way better than the original, and I read too, but that's give that a grain of salt. It's at the point where Bruce Willis really wasn't giving it his all.
Yeah, and
not that he could.
That's the thing about Galaxy Quest is that technically it's probably the best Star Trek film ever made.
Yeah.
And it's mainly because it understood what made the original Trek show, in a way, better than the films themselves. Although, because there's cheesiness, there's all that goofy sort of comedy, but sometimes also being very sincerely maudlin at times, and hard sci-fi ideas and stuff like that. And this film understood this and applied it in the most, let's be honest, it's not a idea that is forgot, it hasn't been done before. I mean, we've seen actors having to now play the role they made on screen in quote unquote real life.
Three Amigos basically set the standard for this.
Yeah. And it's like they saw how the fans love Star Trek. They saw how, seeing hearing some of those behind the scenes stories, like especially like the thing where you have Tim Allen's character in the bathroom and he overhears, people talking about how much his fellow actors hate his fucking guts.
Yeah, and that he's kind of that and the fact that he was kind of considered a joke for a long time.
Yeah, and with this film, you have really Tim Allen's best performance ever, and I'll even go to bat and say this is Alan Rickman's best performance.
That's what I was going to say. Look, I love him in Die Hard and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, but this is it.
Yeah, because there's just so much where it's like, Rickman's an amazing actor, and he's never really been bad, but this thing is just, you have to have some of the best chops in order to make you see this guy who truly hates he's Leonard Nimoy. He hates Spock. He hates this thing, and he's out there miserable at every moment in this makeup appliance that he's wearing the entire time.
Yeah. My grandfather's hammer, what a bargain.
Yeah. The whole thing, and then you get that bit at near the end where what's his name? Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. He gets killed, and the dramatic scene that you get played over, again, some of the goofiest fucking aliens. And you're sitting there starting to well up and start crying over, this goofy character who's been shot, and this super dramatically scene, and you're like, oh God. Again, going back to Tim Allen too, him having this scene where he's talking about, revealing to these goofball aliens that essentially they're lying to him. The TV show that they think is real is fake, and they're all just actors. The model is, putting your fingers together this big, and you just get this performance that even Tim Allen, apparently didn't realize he had in him. And I just kind of love the quote where after they did the scene, he had to go to the trailer, and Alan Rickman just said, they're like, well, what do you know? He discovered acting.
Yeah. I will say this: it's not the guy who played Sheldon. His name is Patrick Breen. Mostly like a Barry Sonnenfeld kind of guy. I believe he was on the what?
Jim Parsons playing.
Yeah. Nope, sorry, not.
Really?
Yeah.
They look so alike.
Well, yeah. Well, it's very interesting how they cast him, but I think one of the craziest choices in this is the aliens, the way they talk. Did they slowly develop that? Did one actor develop it and the director go, holy shit, that's it? Eric...
The lead, I don't know about the language, but the lead actor,
Yeah.
he set the tone, and everyone just loved it. We're not supposed to necessarily do this, but he just showed everybody his audition tape.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's what you're doing. Everyone do that.
Yeah, Enrico Colantani was known as a comedic actor. It's weird that he's mostly known for drama now. I think that kind of switched with Veronica Mars, and he's just been doing it ever since. The casting in this is just amazing. And let's give some kudos to fucking Stan Winston. When he says he doesn't do special effects, he creates characters. Holy shit, is it good?
Yes. Especially because this movie was lower budget than it really should have had.
Yeah, $45 million is not a lot to get the idea across.
Yeah, those makeup effects, those suits are amazing, and I would love to see the PG-13 cut that almost existed, and I genuinely would have loved to see the R-rated cut that they were originally shot.
Oh wow! I didn't realize. I didn't realize this was rated PG.
This is rated PG. They had enough cuts to keep it as a PG-13 film. They had a few more scenes where people said shit, and they do have that beautifully overacted alternate line reading from "well, fuck that" to "well, screw that."
Yeah.
That was in the entire PG-13 film, and it's like they got talked down into getting its PG, but there was also a R-rated cut of this film that existed. That was a lot more violent. That was a lot darker.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. Yeah. I would watch the PG-13. I don't know if I want to see an R-rated version of this.
I would be curious to see what the film they shot was versus what it ended up being.
Yeah,
it'd be a fascinating, point counterpoint to the same idea.
It's funny is right at this point everybody discovers Sam Rockwell. This, and then 2 weeks later is The Green Mile, and all of a sudden people are like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, he is so brilliant. He has some of the best lines of this entire film.
Yeah, and Sigourney Weaver has never looked hotter. Holy shit.
Yeah, and it's everyone in this film is great.
Yeah, it's a legitimate Star Trek movie. I mean, just obviously with changing out the characters, but it is very much a well done. It's like the Orville. Those are really heartfelt, really trying to do his version of Star Trek.
Yeah, it's like again understanding what it is that people like about it instead of just trying to quote unquote make a Star Trek.
Yeah, I remember for years people were like, what movie do you want to see a sequel to? And I'd always say Galaxy Quest, but now I'm like, no, hell no, please no.
Well, before Rickman died, they almost had a sequel.
Yeah, well, they talked about, there was a comic book that was the script, I believe, and then I remember they were trying to do a TV show, I think for Amazon, and it didn't go beyond the pilot.
Yeah, I do remember. Well, I think the pilot was done after Rickman died.
No, okay.
That was the idea, was we're going to try. And then, it's like no.
Gotcha. All right, what is our next film?
All right. How about End of Days?
Look, I regret this choice by a long shot, but you and I have mentioned End of Days numerous times throughout the years. I can't remember why. I guess because it was such a huge disappointment, I guess. It's so beneath him. I don't understand. Maybe it's because he had just come off his heart attack, and also the really bad drumming from doing Batman and Robin. And I think that he felt that he may need to pull back, realize he's getting older, and he needs to modify what he's seen as by the public. And boy, did they reject it. This is like the end for him.
Yeah, let's just, my first note of this is, in the beginning you have there's a breakfast scene, And then I also end up bending it. I'm like, dang, this breakfast scene and heck, this whole movie has more cuts than it takes to get Liam Neeson over a fence.
Yeah.
And I generally wonder if that is probably because of, Arnold's post-heart attack. He's probably not able to do as much at the time, so they're kind of having to cut around him.
Yeah.
And piece this thing together. And basically, yeah, this is depressed Arnold versus the devil.
He's the wrong guy for this. I know I'm sorry, but he is bigger than life, and he needs huge ideas. He probably saw on paper, oh, versus the devil, fuck yeah, I worked with versus an alien from outer space. And a lot of it is Peter Hyams, he's not in his peak mode at all, and I don't think it ever happens again. I can't remember the last time, but Peter Hyams kind of peaked in the 80s. But he was recommended by James Cameron. And boy, it's almost as if James Cameron hated Arnold at that point. But it's just, Gabriel, he's having fun, I guess. How do I say this? When you're pretending to look like you're having fun, is that what I mean? Like, Gabriel Byrne is not really trying, but he looks like he's like, fuck it, why not? I'll be the devil.
Yeah, out of everyone, he's the only one who seems like he's at least, he knows what he's in.
Yeah.
Because part of this is, this thing thinks that it is a Seven-styled supernatural horror film.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No.
It's dumb, it's boring, it's bland.
I think it's so funny.
Gabriel Byrne really is the only one who has life.
Yeah.
Kevin Pollak's fine, and you have Udo Kier, and Udo Kier's fun to watch.
Yeah, Udo Kier. I always say his name. I think it's funny as Gabriel Byrne 3 months earlier had a bigger hit, I think, with Not Existence. I'm sorry, Stigmata.
Yeah, that's the thing is I didn't make a note of that. It's been a while since I've seen Stigmata. But I definitely know he's better in that than he is in this.
Well, it's just funny. He goes from fighting the devil to being the devil. But a lot of it, I just didn't care. It didn't matter to me. When he has the battle, I'm like, ho hum. I sacrificed myself. I'm like, couldn't you have just stalled for 5 fucking minutes? Really? Maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, I did genuinely have some hope that this was going to be somewhat better than I remembered it. I wasn't reaching like, oh my god, I can't wait, this has got to be better. Because, after this he does Sixth Day, and he does Collateral Damage.
The better films, just better. I mean, not great. They're not as peak by any means, but I will watch those again with, whatever.
I would argue Sixth Day, but yeah, I do remember liking Collateral Damage a lot more than it was received at the time, but then again, that was also a post-September 11th.
Yeah.
So we were weird about stuff, and I kind of felt that one worked out fairly better than you would have thought.
What is our next film?
This is one that I think we're somewhat divided on, and that is Bicentennial.
Okay, I texted him halfway through the movie and said, ugh, I don't know if I can make it where it's like too schmaltzy or something like that. I was wrong. Something happens halfway through the movie and it fucking pulled me in. And I was like, this is good. Also hilarious that they thought that Wabash, Indiana, Urbana, Indiana, which is 10 minutes away from me, is going to be big enough to have a minor league baseball team. And if you've ever been to Urbana, no, never. It's never, ever, ever going to happen. There's like 18 people there.
But one thing let's be honest, it's a shock that there is a PG movie that's made for, again, this was, honestly, I wrote this before I was watching, God's Quest again, and kind of reminded myself that was PG. But this is a movie that's made for families and not just children. Because usually, when you get a PG movie, it's basically like a Disney Channel, a Disney movie.
Yeah.
And because it's live action, okay, we won't slap a G on it, we'll slap a PG on it, but it is basically just a kid's movie. And like honestly, aside from Galaxy Quest, like of the last decade and a half, I can think of is what, Tomorrowland, which is a Disney movie.
Sky Captain?
Or that. Skycap, I think, was PG-13.
Oh, okay.
I think. But like the Rescue Rangers movie that came out, that was like that kind of spiritual successor to Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
That's also a Disney movie.
I gotta see that one. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's hard to think of when you have a film that's more a family film than just a kids movie.
Right.
But yes, this one is saccharine as hell. It's fluffy, and that's definitely not to all tastes. You know, it's like you're texting and they're going like, this is basically a giant eye roll of a film in a lot of cases.
A lot of look. I hate to say it, but post Aladdin, a lot of Robin Williams movies really pull their punches. There's only a few in there that really feel like he's doing an experimental thing, like What Dreams May Come or Good Will Hunting, where he's doing a small independent movie. A lot of it is just these huge paychecks for these movies that did not connect at all. And Bicentennial Man was a flop.
Yeah, and that's also the idea. You're following a robot over 200 years of its life, basically kind of watching how he evolves and taking care of this family and ultimately becoming truly a sentient being all on his own. And it's not exactly the sort of thing that you as a kid is going to like, and not necessarily that. If you're, especially in '99, if you're going to see The Matrix or or the other next film we'll talk about after this, this isn't a movie you're going to want to watch. And so it's like, oh, this is a movie for babies sort of thing, but it's not. And it's, like I said, it's too saccharine and edgeless to be, oh yeah, let's go see this, and sure, we'll have to, we can bring a young kid with us, but yeah, there's no edges to this. So the adults are kind of like, yeah, that's nice and cute.
Hey everybody, sorry there was a hiccup there. We lost where we were. I didn't realize, neither one of us realized it's disconnected. We're both talking to each other. Go ahead.
I have no idea where I am cut off, so I'll just kind of go back where, yes, this movie is totally saccharine and fluffy. You're following the robot over 200 years and seeing how it becomes how it self-actualizes and stuff. And I genuinely kind of look at it and think that this is definitely the movie that Chris Columbus set out to make. Because you have very much the feeling that this was, kind of thought as, okay, it's an Oscar bait movie. You definitely, it feels like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't say that, and even with this, I don't necessarily say that with the usual sort of crassness that you would say about other films like that.
It does feel a little robot Forrest Gump.
Yeah, it's like, it definitely feels like they set out to make a 4-quadrant movie. And I do kind of feel that they made a 4-quadrant movie.
Yeah.
I don't how edgeless this movie is, is up to debate.
It feels like an episode of Amazing Stories, if that tells you anything. Which, that's not a knock. Yeah, I love Amazing Stories.
Yeah, it's like, this isn't a bad movie. This is just, it's a movie. You're just kind of like, yeah, I sat there 2 hours. Okay. It's like, I don't hate myself for sitting through these 2 hours.
Yeah.
I could have done a lot worse with my time. Definitely could have done a lot better.
It's interesting is I just looked now, and Tim Allen was offered Bicentennial Man or Galaxy Quest, and he chose Galaxy Quest because he was such a huge Star Trek fan. I can't imagine Bicentennial Man coming off anyway as good with Tim Allen. Nothing. Look, there's a rarity in Galaxy Quest, and I don't think he could have pulled off that innocent sweetness in Bicentennial Man. He doesn't seem to have what Robin Williams has.
No. Robin Williams is a great enough actor that he is chameleon-like at times. Most of the time he never really, did anything with that.
Yeah.
That's why when you see something like 1 Hour Photo or insomnia. It's always kind of like you're a little more surprised than, let's be honest, Bicentennial Man. We kind of would expect this from him, more so than you would anything like that. It's like Jamel definitely would not be able to do that because Jamel's an asshole, and that's kind of what he needed in
Galaxy Quest.
Quest.
Because I don't see the, like, say hypothetically, Robin Williams. I'm betting that it was offered to him because at the time, Robin wasn't available. Might have been doing something else. I can't think of what. But then, like, that fell apart, and then Chris Columbus was like, well, let me go back to the guy I originally wanted to work with, who I've already worked with a few times, Robin Williams. And it's just a much better fit. And he works very well with the makeup. Greg Canham did the makeup. And the reason why I think he has the design down so well in Bicentennial Man is because he's the one who did, this is really rare, I don't know if you remember this, but there was like these, I think they're battery commercials, where it was a whole family, where their faces looked like that or whatever. He had pre-designed all that, so he didn't have to spend a whole bunch of time like trying to figure out how to make that look good.
Yeah, well, it's also, like those characters in those battery commercials, there's that film Heartbeats. That's also basically the same kind of aesthetic in your robot design.
Yeah, which you may have noticed I just added to the collection when we go back around. So after this episode, everybody, we're going through the 70s up through the 80s again, picking up all the movies that we missed through the years, and then we'll jump back into 2000. What is our final film?
The final film, the biggest disappointment, I think, especially over End of Days, is Wild Wild West.
Yeah, man. I didn't hate it as much as I did the first time. I see problems all over it, and the audacity they had to think, yeah, we fucking got Summer of '99 down. Fuck Star Wars, we got this. Whatever. July 4th, Mr. 4th of July, and look, I love Kevin Kline. I'm cool with Will Smith. They have no chemistry whatsoever. A lot of the setups are really weird. Who thought it was a good idea? Go ahead.
Oh, this is another film where the villain, Kenneth Branagh, is having the best time over everyone else.
Oh, man, the dialogue's so fucking mean, man, and it's gross to look at. Why would you start your $150 million tentpole movie with that sequence, man? With Ted Levine with a fucking horn in his ear and all grossed up and like chopping a head off of someone you never will know. You'll never know this. You should have started immediately with Will Smith in that water tower, whatever, and that's it. You get to know him, love him, start the film that way.
Yeah, well, I know where you were going with that stuff earlier. Whose dumb idea was it to have the giant mechanical spider?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very well-known story at this point. The Kevin Smith working with John Peters on the failed Superman Lives film.
Yeah.
Where he was going to he was doing this thing, the death and return of Superman. And John Peters really had it in him that Superman needed to fight a giant spider in the third act.
You know what it keeps reminding me of?
Spiders are the most deadliest creatures alive or something.
Yeah. You know what it keeps reminding me of is that moment in Ed Wood when he's trying to get the funding for, I think it's Glenn and Glenda, and he goes, and he's got Rance Howard, and he's like, well, I want you to cast my boy in it, and I want the movie to end with a huge explosion. Like, do you know anything about making movies? Okay, John Peters, we'll just put your giant fucking spider in here, whatever.
Yeah, it's like apparently that was how we got that is, oh yeah, this guy's just obsessed with spiders, so of course he made a giant spider mech.
I mean, look, 5 or 6 years earlier, fucking Full Moon pulled that off with a giant scorpion in Robot Wars. Boy, I'll say this, of 1999, these are the best fucking special effects. I can't imagine anything looking better at that time. They're not innovative like Matrix, but yeah, they're pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, the spider thing looks fine, them destroying all that stuff. There's the biggest problem, I think, with this film is that Barry Sonnenfeld was trying to make Men in Black 3.
Yeah, I can feel that all the way. Well, actually, Men in Black 2 had not existed yet. That's not for another 3 years.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because it was originally going to have the Twin Towers in the finale, and obviously it's also Men in Black 2 is a post 9/11 film.
Yeah.
So he was making Men in Black 2. Sorry.
It's a studio giving too much money to a crazy idea and no one's saying no. And you're not going to see a whole lot like this, where people just like it's like the Lone Ranger movie. Someone at some point should have said, "No, not $250 million on a fucking western," and yet someone did. And there are some crazy ideas in there, and it's visually like dynamite. But the whole thing together just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it's like, and part of the thing, it's like I also look at this and like I said, Kenneth Branagh is here and he's chewing the scenery and all that stuff. But you have Will Smith, who's basically just acting like he stepped off the Millennium music video.
Yep.
And he's got this 90s swagger, which doesn't really fit, even though, yes, this is a steampunk, alternate world. But you also, and then Kevin Kline just basically playing a Kevin Kline type. Kevin Kline's a really good actor.
Yeah. Well,
but he does have a type that he will play. And this is him basically just doing a Kevin Kline type and not really playing a character.
Well, he was too old for the role. It was never meant to be like this. George Clooney was signed. And they kept rewriting the script to make him just the same level as Will Smith. And that was causing issues. And George Clooney said, you know what? Hold on. You guys keep changing the script over and over and over to make this, modify it for me. Why don't you just cast someone that's more appropriate for this? They couldn't find anybody. They just went with Kevin Kline. I love Kevin Kline. But I think maybe the heat that he got after the Academy Award nomination from In and Out maybe put him in a realm that maybe he shouldn't have been in a movie this big.
This is a film that it's so disappointing because and I understand people don't like to do this, especially in Hollywood, because it's one of those things where it kind of feels gross, where you talk about how much a thing costs versus quality, and so the idea is like if it costs so much money, it should be better. But that is I do kind of agree with that thought in an extent, where if you're putting this much money, if money is no object, obviously, if you're going to put it on the screen and money can solve all your problems, why is it so bad?
Yeah.
Why didn't you spend another, why didn't you just go and take 5 more takes to make sure that these line readings don't sound so stupid?
I am guessing, just like Men in Black 2, that they were on a deadline. They were rushing through this because the special effects were going to take so much time, and they probably found themselves like, no, we don't have time. We have to go right now. And that's not the way you make a movie. I mean, deadlines before the movie's even set is in production is insane to me.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. And I'm sure I said it when we did Alien 3, but it's the studio went out to make a release date, not a film.
Yeah.
That's usually the problem with these things.
Alrighty, everybody. That is end of 1999. We're going to hit the time machine and go back to the 70s. It's not going to be a lot of them. We're going to be throwing in some stuff that maybe not technically sci-fi, that's more spectacle, like Earthquake and Towering Inferno, but it's going to be a little bit of wiggle room. Did you see that I added Zardoz?
I did not, but that is... I'll be honest, that's a movie I've actually never seen.
Okay.
And I'm surprised that I've never seen it.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, yeah, if that's an option, I'm gonna have to watch Sir Sean Connery run around in a weird red leather bikini.
It's fucking weird. All right, everybody, that is it. Thank you very much.
All right, see you guys.